Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going to get into a really fundamental question, one that's been debated for centuries.
It's a big one.
A huge one. Are heaven and hell these, fixed destinations, places you get sent to based on some kind of divine scorecard?
Or is it something else entirely?
Exactly. Or are they states of existence that we actually build for ourselves through our own choices, our own actions?
Yeah.
So for today's deep dive, we're looking at a really potent narrative. It's a set of excerpts from a text called How Humans Create Heaven and Hell.
And our mission really is to use this one story to see how human effort, or the lack of it, can create wildly different outcomes.
Even when the starting conditions are, and this is the key, completely identical.
It's a fascinating thought experiment. We're following an elderly woman who lived a good life, and she's with Yamaraj, the Lord of Death. Her journey becomes this perfect, almost scientific, comparative study.
Okay, so let's set the scene. The source is clear that because she lived such a virtuous life, she earned basically a direct flight to the Lord's abode. No layovers.
Right, she had a ticket straight there, but she hesitates. She has this one last request. It's almost academic, really.
She wants a tour.
She wants a tour. She says, I've heard so much about heaven and hell on earth. Before I go, can I just see them for myself?
Just out of curiosity, and Yamaraj says yes. He grants her this little detour.
And that's what kicks this whole thing off. So their first stop is hell.
And the description is just immediately sensory. It's overwhelming. You hear loud, constant crying. The people look terribly thin, sick,
Just
desolate.
utterly tormented by hunger. One person she talked to says something like, since we came here after we died, we haven't eaten a single day.
It's the picture of ultimate suffering. But then she sees something that just doesn't make any sense.
Right. This is the paradox.
It's a huge paradox. Amidst all this starvation, her eyes land on this colossal object.
A giant pot, something like 300 feet taller than the people standing there, and above it.
A massive spoon. And the smell, the source says the aroma is wonderful. The pot is always full of this delicious kheer, the sweet rice pudding.
Think about that for a second. The resource is there. Endless food. It's not a question of scarcity.
Right. So she asked the obvious question to one of the starving men, why are you so hungry? The kheer is right there.
And what's his response?
He just breaks down crying. He says, how can we possibly eat? The pot is 300 feet high. We can't reach it. God has punished us.
And there it is. That's the mindset.
He immediately frames it as divine punishment.
Exactly. It's not a logistical problem to be solved. It's a moral judgment that has been passed down. They see the obstacle, the height, and they give up.
It's learned helplessness on a massive scale. They've decided the food is inaccessible, and so they are victims. Full stop.
And that's the end of the story for them. So Yamaraj just says, let's go, we're getting late. And they leave this scene of, wasted potential.
Yeah. So they move on.
Yeah.
And the transition to heaven is just a complete sensory flip.
You go from wailing to laughter.
From sickness to health. People are giggling. They look happy, well-fed. The woman is, she's incredibly relieved.
But then she looks around.
And the shock comes rushing back. Because for you, the listener, this is the moment. This is the core of the whole story.
She sees the exact same thing.
The same 300-foot-high pot, the same giant spoon, the same delicious kheer.
It's the same world. The physics are identical. The environment is impartial.
She must have been just completely bewildered. She goes up to them and asks, how is this possible? The pot is 300 feet high. You can't reach it any more than they can. You should be starving too.
But they're not. They tell her they eat their fill every single day. And their explanation... Well, that's the aha moment, isn't it?
It's the whole deep dive right there. It wasn't magic. God didn't lower the pot for them. It was design, human design.
So what did they do?
They didn't complain about the height of the pot. They looked down. They looked at what was around them.
The resources.
The resources, the trees, the plants, the rivers. They saw them not just as scenery, but as raw materials, as tools.
And they said, basically, we took the wood from the trees, we cut it up, and we joined the pieces together.
To build a huge ladder.
A huge ladder. I mean, we really have to stop and appreciate the sheer systems thinking here.
This isn't a simple fix. Building a ladder that high requires planning. It requires cooperation.
It's a massive civil engineering project. You need coordination, measurement, shared labor. It's not something one person can do.
That's the key, I think, the communal effort.
Yes. And the source adds that final detail. Everyone enjoys the kheer together. That implies they figured out how to manage this shared resource successfully.
So let's just step back and put it side by side.
Okay.
In hell, you have all the raw materials, the food, the wood, But the people are paralyzed. They see the obstacle as a punishment, and they just stop.
They're atomized individuals focused on their own suffering.
And in heaven, you have the exact same materials, the same obstacle, but the people work together. They see the obstacle as a problem to be solved, and they use the raw materials to build a system, a ladder.
The difference isn't the environment, it's the response to the environment.
Yeah.
It's a powerful metaphor for, well, for almost anything.
Structural poverty versus structural prosperity.
Exactly. The people in hell are waiting for the reward to be handed to them, to be lowered to their level.
And the people in heaven realize that if the goal is 300 feet in the air, you don't complain about the height. You look at the ground and start building. That's agency.
Which brings us right to Yamaraj's final verdict. He has to synthesize all of this for the woman.
And what he says is fascinating because he reframes the whole idea of God's role. He says that God has entrusted heaven and hell to humans.
They create their own reality. That's a huge statement.
It completely removes external blame or favoritism. He then doubles down on that.
Right. He says all his children are equal to him. He discriminates against no one.
Which confirms it. The trees were there in hell too. It wasn't a resource issue.
It was a volition issue, a planning issue.
Which is why Yamaraj uses that very specific word. He says the people in hell are suffering because they are lazy.
Now, we should probably unpack that word, lazy.
Yeah, because it's not just about not wanting to do physical work, is it?
I don't think so. I think in this context, it's about intellectual inertia. It's the laziness of the imagination, the failure to even conceive of a solution.
So the first step, seeing a tree not as a tree, but as a potential rung on a ladder, that's the step they never took.
Exactly. The physical work is hard, sure, but the conceptual leap is the real work. And they failed to do it.
That makes the suffering. It makes it a choice, in a way. A result of a failure of community and foresight.
It's self-inflicted. They had the means of production, the trees, but they didn't have the social or, political will to organize the project.
You can see this playing out everywhere. A team, a company, a society. The resources might be there, but without that coordinated ladder.
You're just staring up at the pot, starving. It's a failure of system building. If you, as a learner, look at a huge goal, that's your 300-foot pot, and your first thought is, I can't reach that.
You're putting yourself in the mindset of hell.
You are. You're waiting for the prize to be delivered to you at ground level. The people in heaven showed that you have to break down the insurmountable goal into solvable steps.
They didn't change the height of the pot. They just solved the problem of access.
The ladder is the system, the methodology, the team.
And Yamaraj seals this whole lesson with what he calls the law of the world.
A universal principle.
He says, only those who work hard and toil will get to eat the sweet fruit. It's the ultimate rebuttal to passivity. Even with infinite resources, you still need to build the structure to access them.
So really, the story just completely corrects this idea that success is about luck or getting special treatment. The obstacle was the same for everyone?
The outcome was determined purely by what they did with the trees on the ground.
So the big takeaway is pretty clear, isn't it?
I think so. Heaven and hell aren't places you get sent. They're outcomes you create. They're the direct result of whether you face challenges with resourcefulness and cooperation or with helplessness.
And that leads to a final thought for you, the listener, to maybe take away from this. Yamaraj made it very clear that the raw materials, the trees, were given to everyone in both places. So the question is, in your life right now, your career, your learning, what are the trees that are sitting around you that you're not using? What knowledge, what community, what talents are right there on the ground? And are you waiting for the cure to just appear in your hand?
Yeah.
Or are you starting to cut the wood?